The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the Midas Touch Network. This clip right here is from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She just posted it, and she's literally stalking wounded Ukrainian soldiers as they make their way through the halls of Congress. She tweeted this out along with the video. These soldiers are there to remind our Congress of what's at stake in Ukraine and why their fight against Russia's brutal invasion is our fight too, because it's a battle to defend democracy against tyranny. I've talked before about Marjorie Taylor Greene's support for Putin's regime and her disdain for Ukraine's defenders. That's bad, and more Republicans need to call it out. But what really bothers me about this video is that her first thought when seeing a wounded vet was to reach for her cell phone camera. There's something sick about that. I don't know if it's the voyeurism or the disrespect, but I've encountered people like this before in my work with wounded vets. And anyone whose first instinct is to reach for their phone, they shouldn't be anywhere near the halls of power, much less stalking wounded vets through them. When it comes to Marjorie Taylor Greene, nothing surprises me anymore. The real question is this: will her colleagues in the Republican Party call her out? Will she face any consequences at all now that her party controls the House of Representatives? I think we all know the answer. The Republican Party is a party where cruelty and cowardice are rewarded, not punished. These vets have been through hell already. I just hope someone prepared them for dealing with Republicans like Marjorie Taylor.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Nice to see everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. Of course, for many people, especially out in Colorado, the weekend wasn't that great. They had a shooting out there, as you probably already know, at a gay nightclub, and 5 people were killed, and about, I guess, 25 were just wounded. I don't know if any of those people wounded are critical or whatnot, but that's what, that's what the press is saying. So the guy that did the shooting here, Anderson Lee Aldrich, he's 22 years old. Apparently he's got a history. At one time, about 2021, he was in El Paso, Texas, and he was arrested for giving out a bomb threat at Orson Ranch, and he wouldn't comply with the cops, so they arrested him, and they found he had homemade bombs and a whole shitload of weapons and a ton of ammo in his possession. And he was supposed to stand charges. He was supposed to go to court for that, I guess. But I couldn't find much more about, the in-between, the story in between then and what happened here on, was it Friday? Why this guy wasn't sitting in prison already, So I kept digging, and it was in a comment section on a story where I found somebody had said that he's got a grandfather that's a state assemblyman in California. His name is Randy Voepel, Voepel, And this story was issued about 6 hours ago. And so let me see if I can read that. This is from People magazine, from Christine Pilisk. It's entitled, Colorado Springs Suspect's Grandfather is Politician Who Compared January 6th to the Revolutionary War. The suspect, who allegedly killed 5 people and injured 18 others at the nightclub in Colorado Springs, is the grandson of a California politician who compared the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol to the American Revolutionary War, according to multiple reports. The Gazette in Colorado Springs reports the alleged shooter, identified as 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldrich, is the grandson of Republican Assemblyman Randy Vopel, who represents parts of San Diego County and Riverside County and California's 71st Assembly District. Vopel was a mayor of Santee, California for 2 decades and lost his assembly bid for re-election this year. Police allege the gunman, armed with an AR-15 style rifle and at least one other gun, opened fire on patrons inside Club Q late Saturday evening at about 11:57 p.m. Local time. Owners of the club told the New York Times that the shooter was wearing a military-style flak jacket and had at least 6 magazines of ammunition when he entered the club. After the January 6th riot at the Capitol, Vopel told the Union Tribune, quote, "This is Lexington and Concord. First shots fired against tyranny," unquote. He added, quote, "Tyranny will follow in the aftermath of the Biden swear-in on January the 20th, unquote. Vopel later said he didn't condone the lawlessness and violence at the Capitol, the Union Tribune reported. Quote, "The left has their crazies and the right has their crazies, and I don't support either one," unquote, Vopel said. Quote, "I support the First Amendment and the ability to protest as long as you keep it peaceful," unquote. According to CNN, the first 911 calls from Club Q began at 11:56 p.m. By midnight, an officer was at the scene, and the suspect was taken into custody at 12:02 a.m., 6 minutes after the attack started. Quick, huh? That's the way cops should respond when you hear about a shooting. They should be loitering around outside for an hour and a half. Colorado Springs Police Chief Adrian Vasquez told CNN that at least 2 people inside the club disarmed the shooter, stopping the violence before it got worse. Quote, "We owe them a great debt of thanks," unquote, Vasquez said. Quote, "One customer took down the gunman and was assisted by another," unquote. Matthew Haynes, one of the club owners, told the New York Times, quote, "He saved dozens and dozens of lives, stopped the man cold. Everyone else was running away and he ran toward him," unquote. Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers told NPR on Sunday that one of the men was able to grab a weapon from the gunman and then hit him with it. When police arrived, one of the patrons was holding the suspect down. Vopel could not be reached for comment. Now, imagine not. So, when I saw this, okay, I mean, this is the first time I've read this here, okay, but when I first saw this article here and I kind of, read the first couple paragraphs, I was like, well, okay, so this guy, the shooter, gets arrested in El Paso, Texas for, threatening, bomb threat, okay? They find all the shit that he had, bombs, weapons, ammo, gets charged, okay, and the story suddenly just disappears. Then he shows up a year later, I guess, in Colorado, and he's in a LGBTQ club Q. He goes in there and he starts shooting up the place. Okay? So, naturally you're going to wonder, well, if he did what he did in El Paso, he should have been sitting in jail or in prison, whatever, after all this time. So how is it he was out roaming around in Colorado, managed to buy a rifle legally now? He bought this legally, so his name should have been in the friggin' list, right, of people you don't want to sell guns to. He got one, okay? and he did what he did. So I see this and I'm thinking, well, maybe the grandfather or, you know, some political associate of his sealed the record, so that way it wouldn't show up if somebody's, because he was running for a seat this year, right, and he lost. But maybe they did that, sealed it, so that way they wouldn't dig up dirt on him, okay, to throw in the thing. So they sealed the record, and so this kid was able, well, 22 years old, he's a kid to me. This kid gets a friggin' AR, or an automatic rifle, I don't know what kind it is, they just say an automatic rifle. He gets a gun like that, and he goes and he's able to buy that without a red flag being raised in the system. So, background checks don't always work, it seems, if they even bother to do it. This is Colorado, by the way. This is Warren Boebert state. Okay, and since she won her seat by what, 500 votes, okay, she barely won her seat back. She's out right now telling people, oh, let's hopes, pray, you know, for the victims and all that. All the while, she's out there beforehand, you know, basically trashing people that live lives that she doesn't approve of, which I'm talking about LGBTQ people. Okay, she's all against that. So here she is, and she goes out there and she's drumming up all this hatred and anger in public, right, like she does. And something like this happens, and then she just tries to distance herself from it by saying, oh, well, that's sad, that shouldn't have happened, you know, blah, blah, blah. Yet tomorrow she'll get up out of bed and she'll start going back at it again, you know, talking about how all these people are living unholy lives and they you know, we need to stop this. We get people, you know, only women and men can be married, and you know what I'm saying? They're going to go back on that friggin' tirade. And not, like I said, not just Lauren Boebert, but all the other nuts that think like her, you know, like Green. Okay, they're all going to go back to talking the same trash, and yet saying this, they figure, well, I got a First Amendment right to say that. Of course you do. All right. You also got a realistic expectation of people taking what you say to heart and disagreeing with you, and in some cases, if a person is distorted enough mentally, they might act on it violently. Okay, so there's repercussions for what you say. So your First Amendment right to speak is fine, okay? Just beware that in reality, when you do that, you can't just say that shit and expect nothing's going to happen to you no matter what you say. Something is going to happen. It may not be the happen you want, but it's going to happen. That's what people, you know, on the right wing don't understand. As they like to use the First Amendment whenever they say something. They bitch at the left for using the First Amendment for when they protest. But when they want to do something, say something nasty or something like that on the air or in public, they hide behind the curtain of the First Amendment and say, oh, well, I'm shielded from that. Not realizing the minute you pull that curtain away, you're going to get eggs and tomatoes and whatever thrown at you and a lot of angry people. And it's probably going to hurt your chances of winning in a friggin' election. Just like, what's her face here? Carrie Lake found out in her election that, you know, when she was running around talking shit about John McCain, people down there didn't like that. Okay? So, that's what happens, First Amendment. And, you know, the sooner, you know, some of these people, these wackadoodles here like Boebert realize that, maybe then they'll still tone down the rhetoric some, but I doubt that's going to happen. I think they figure that it makes them popular to talk shit like that all the time. You know, because, you know, in the local area, it might benefit them, okay? You know what I'm saying? If you're running for like a local seat, you know, or maybe just governor, okay, because you don't have to worry about people outside your state voting for you, okay? Only the people in the state can vote for you. And if your state is a wackadoodle state to begin with, then yes, you got a good chance of winning. But on the national level, it might be a whole different ballgame, Okay, your rhetoric might work there, but it's not going to work abroad, outside the borders of your state. And I think Lauren Boebert figures that, she can talk the way she talks in Colorado, because maybe there's a lot of people in Colorado that, maybe the Colorado citizens don't want to believe. Maybe there's a lot of these morons in their communities that they don't realize. Okay? Believe me, some of these people understand that they're not liked in this country, and they're not going to go around and just antagonize the neighbors and stuff like that by what they think. They're going to keep it to themselves, and when it comes time to vote, their vote will reveal who they are. But you're not going to see the vote, right? So, but apparently there's a lot of people in Colorado that obviously fall into the same category of person as Lauren Boebert, and it's people like that that have created a situation where something like the shooting here happens, because it only takes one person that soaks up that friggin' rhetoric every single day, and they get disturbed by it to the point where they feel like they got to do something. And maybe the fact that his grandfather didn't win, on top of maybe his intolerance of this Club Q, he decided to take out his anger on that. I don't know. The people at that club felt that they were safe being there. Personally, I don't think anybody that goes to any of these clubs ought to feel safe, okay? Because what they are is bullseyes for people that are whacked out like this Aldrich guy was here, okay? Whenever somebody feels like they can't get their way, and every state has these people like that. I've seen them right here in Maine. Every state's got these kind of people. They will take it out. They will go in there. They know where you are. That's the best place for them to go, because they don't have to hunt you down by your home. They just go right to that place. They ought to have like a ton of cameras and security around a facility like that at any given time, because I'll tell you, if you just don't know who you're. Usually in a nightclub, you have to. I don't know how they run this Club Q, but in other nightclubs that I've frequented, okay, and they weren't clubs like that, they're just regular clubs. They have somebody at the door that's supposed to, look you over or something like that. You got, like a dress code or some damn thing like that. And some places even have a metal, a scanner. They run to see if you've got anything metal on you before they let you in. These places are going to have to start doing that. I don't know how this guy got into that club. I don't if he went through a back door or something like that. But usually the nightclubs are pretty secure. So these clubs across the country for gay and LGBTQ, whatever, these clubs are all going to have to tighten up security around the clubs. That means they're going to have people armed, okay, probably with pistols or something like that at the doors, and they got to scan everybody before they go in, just to make sure that it's safe in there. What else are you going to do? And you have to do the same thing with the Jewish synagogues now, because now they're after them too. So we have to beef up security for every damn place that's got to do with something, that people don't like in this country. It's unbelievable. It's like, when you were in school and they talked about how, the country was supposed to welcome all nationalities here, right? And that, we're going to prove to the world that we can get along. We ain't proved it yet. After all these years, of centuries that's passed in this country, we still haven't proved to the rest of the world that it works, that we can have a country with a mixed population. We haven't proved it. The other countries are still the way they are, and they're still watching our country deteriorating more and more by intolerance. And that's really the bottom line here, isn't it? Through all of this mess here that's going on, intolerance is the core issue. That we don't have enough people in this country who know how to tolerate something they don't like. All right? And they feel like they shouldn't have to tolerate it. They should be able to say something about it and stop it. Okay? But when you're talking about a human life, whether you agree with that way the human's living or not, it's still a life. And if you're so intolerant that you would rather kill that person than see them live their day-to-day life, then there's something wrong with you. You know, it's not them that's got the problem, it's you. You're the one that has the problem, okay? Because, you know, people that can't tolerate something, they usually end up in mental health facilities for 3 or 4 months, you know, and then they have to put them on medication because they got something like paranoid schizophrenia and all that shit running in their veins. They don't know about it. You got a mental problem. To be tolerant is not as big a thing as you think for normal people, okay? I can tolerate a whole lot of things that go around here in this, just in my neighborhood here. Don't bother me any because they don't bother me. So why the hell should I care about what they're doing? You know, the hell with them. You know? So why can't these other folks be of the same mindset and say, look, as long as they don't touch me or they don't step on my property or they just, you know, don't even look at me, I'm fine. You know? I can just accept them, you know. But Jesus, I mean, you know, to go from accepting, you know, that everybody's different and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to like everybody, but you can just tolerate them. To go from that to just saying I'm going to kill everybody I don't like and I'm going to, you know, make the world the way I want it. Hey, you're crossing a big gap here in logic, and in the middle of that gap is mental dysfunction there, and you need to get help for that. Seriously. You know, don't sit there and spit at your TV screen because of what I'm saying and all that. You know, sit down and, you know, think about that for a minute. Why is it that so many people can tolerate, you know, other people's lifestyles and stuff, and why is it I feel like I have to take, you know, violent action in order to satisfy, you know, my need to, you know, put these people out of my misery, you know. You know what I'm saying? How do you come to that when you know murder is wrong, okay? And you get a life sentence, even death sentence for that. You know, there's a reason we do that. So if you're thinking about going out there and doing the same thing that this guy did here at a club, believe me, it's not a solution. It's not going to help you any, okay? Because you might get away with, you know, killing a few, but it's not going to stop them from congregating in places or for that lifestyle to end. You can't do it. You're not God. You can't stop it. It's the way it is. Humanity is a complicated species, all right? And because we all have different personalities and we have different fingerprints, we got different everything, okay? No two are alike. Even twins are not alike, okay? If you can't accept that fact, that everyone's different, okay, then, you know, you have a problem with integrating into society. Only a mental problem can cause that. Only a mental problem causes that. Because most people are able to do that. They're able to work with anybody, you know, at their jobs and stuff like that, okay? They can get along for the most part. They can keep comments like that about things about them to themselves. They know not to, you know, say this stuff out where people can hear. And they actually have a conscience. You know, if they think they've hurt somebody's feelings, even if it's feelings of somebody they don't agree with, okay, at least, you know, you could see that, you know, hey, they may not like the way you live, but they don't want to hurt your feelings, so they keep it to themselves. They tolerate it. All right? And, you know, if we could just have an ounce more of toleration in this country, you know, so many issues about things would end, okay? And if we can't start by teaching our kids how to tolerate, the escalation of school violence will continue to grow. And when these kids go out into society, as adults, you know, society problems, you know, like club shootings and stuff will escalate. You see? So we have to start at a young age to teach our kids to tolerate, you know, different skin colors and stuff like that. For some reason, I think, you know, we don't take that time much anymore to show kids. I think too many adults out there with their kids are teaching them all the wrong things. Or at least the kids are learning from examples that their parents have set that are not stable, okay? They're really vicious and everything. And, you know, I think we ought to look at the criteria for the kinds of homes that we should let kids be raised in. Honestly, I don't think physical abuse is the only thing on the list that really should disqualify somebody from having a child. I think person's ability to tolerate, whether their core values are stable. I seriously think that, we all need to be run through the ringer here on how well we could be as a parent to a child. If we can't raise our kid in a civilized fashion, then, hey, that couple or that woman should not have children, because she's a danger. She's going to present a bad seed into the public that's going to sprout, all kinds of crap that's going to get leaked around. Because, a bad seed is like a virus. You get a person that's got a bad attitude all the time, it festers in public, and eventually it finds other seeds. And that's I think that's one of the things we need to look at here as a country is, how are we raising our kids? Because our kids are learning a lot of bad things, and a lot of these kids, this guy's 22 years old, so he wasn't that long ago in school, but they're learning things they shouldn't be learning. And maybe the problem starts at home, and we need to start there in order to find a solution for all the shit that we got to deal with now here with this shootings and stuff. Let's have a commercial break. We'll return.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Strawberry, blueberry, watermelon. New triple treat from Bubble Tape. 6 feet of gum, 6 feet of fun. New sour crystals. Better tasting Bubble Tape sours. 6 feet of gum, 6 feet.
Ôi, con này.
Det var bara en lavin eller?
Ja, den är kontrollerad. Det är som en jäkla krafter.
Är det safe?
Ja, de vet vad de gör.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Go!
welcome back. Okay, Twitter. My God, Twitter here. What the hell's going on with Twitter, huh? I've been following this here, and it's, because I got a Twitter account. Right? And, I talk to a lot of people on Twitter, and I think a lot of us are concerned about what's going to happen to all of our little groups that we've created on there if Twitter should go under, and a lot of people think it will. For me personally, I mean, I could talk with people on YouTube that I know, but there's a lot of people I guess you won't be able to find unless you're on Instagram or Facebook. I personally won't go to Facebook because of the bullshit that went on there years back with that group, and so I will not go to Facebook if Twitter ends up getting shut down. But the living male perfume here, Elon Musk, he laid off more Twitter people, workers, from the sales side of the social networks business. Happened on Sunday last night, further trimming the staff that he already been decimated by cuts and resignations. My thing, it's like, how can you run Twitter with fewer and fewer people? Eventually you're going to notice some service issues. You're going to be on Twitter and something's not going to work right. He's given these workers of his an ultimatum that if you're going to stay here, you have to follow my version of what this company is going to be. Okay. And a lot of these people are saying his vision of what Twitter should be is really, hard-edged, and they don't like it, okay, and they don't want to be a part of it, okay. He's trying to balance out the remaining staff that he has by these cuts that he did. Personally, you don't balance out anything by cutting people on one end of the spectrum, okay. You're going to need every man and woman you got to run that company. You don't balance anything out. All you're doing is you're putting the workload heavier on those who stay. And believe me, they're not going to stay if they feel like they're being used. Okay? The people who were fired got a notice yesterday that they were, they were going to be gone. Okay, so they get this cut, right over, the minute they wake up. I mean, so there's no warning. Okay. So, I can imagine how pissed off a lot of these people are when you go to bed thinking you got a job. Next day you get up, you're out, you're fired. And I don't know how this is playing out because I haven't really looked here on Wall Street, but I can't imagine that Twitter's stocks are holding here. And if you're smart, you'll dump your stocks while you can and you can get the money that you spent in it. I wouldn't wait because this guy Musk here is really, I don't think he's 100% behind making this work out. Personally, I think the way he's running things right now, it's pretty shoddy. He's obviously he doesn't have a very good business mindset. It's funny how people with wealth like Trump and Musk here, who really don't have a good head for business, have all the money in the world to create business, but then they turn around and destroy it. But anyway, this guy, the way he's running things, just cut, and he's sitting here at the same time trying to reinvent the platform with very few people, and those that are left are really thinking about jumping ship too. Hey, if that's going on, then you're really failing here at what you're doing, and you really ought to be smart enough to just, step down. Let somebody else, take a shot at it. Personally, I think Twitter was doing just fine. I don't know why Twitter sold out to him. I guess maybe it was just for the money. They probably took him to the cleaners to make him buy that. I just can't see how, how this is actually going to shake down here, where this system will be around, for the next, inside of the next 6 months. I mean, it could be gone tomorrow for all we know. So I don't know. But anyway, as far as me on Twitter goes, I'm just waiting, and if it closes, it closes, and and a lot of the people I talk to on there, we'll just have to find each other some other way, because I'm not going to go to Facebook, and I'll just have to find some other platform. Maybe somebody will create another big social network like Twitter after Twitter dies, and then people can find themselves there, but I'll tell you this much: I'm not going to pay a monthly fee to use any social network. I don't care. Okay, I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. These companies are making a ton of money on advertisements they put on these things, and they don't need to have to charge anybody a dime to use their service. So I'm not going to fall for that shit. That we need to charge people. That's just a money grab, is what that is. These companies got big, like Twitter and Facebook, on the idea that they don't charge, okay, and yet they can put all kinds of friggin' ads and shit on there, and they make a shitload of money. All right, so don't let them kid you in thinking they need to charge you, and by the way, you get a little extra this or extra that. Okay, bullshit. That's just a scam to get you hooked into this damn thing. There's too many of these companies that are falling into that now, where they're trying to make you pay monthly fees for services they used to offer for free, okay, and they would make their money off the advertisements. All right, so remember that. So I know I've been bitching about polls and stuff like that. Well, here's a poll, an online poll, okay, that asked 2,189 people here, and this is at this moment here at 6:48 p.m. on Monday the 21st. Okay, at this point, out of the 2,189 people who responded to this question, which is, do you think Twitter will be more or less financially successful under Elon Musk's leadership than it was previously? 48% say less successful. Okay. 35% say more. 10% said the same. 7% has no opinion. Okay. If you're a stockholder in this thing, you really ought to be looking at this. Okay, because people are predicting doom and gloom here. This could change, but here's a poll that I tell people that if you're going to conduct a poll, this is the way you should do it, online, where people all they got to do is click, and there you got your answer. Okay, you don't have to talk to some jackass on the phone or whatever. Okay, you just do that, and it tells you how many people have already answered this question here. So this is a good poll here, and this poll is on Bloomberg, but I think this is a poll that they put on Microsoft. It's a web page. It's MSN.com. Okay, and they get news articles from different places, and so I don't know. It's on my browser. I think maybe it's because of that. I'm using that damn browser. That's why I'm getting that. So anyway, this is the best way to do polling. Okay, I would trust answers on this, than I would from some asshole on TV telling me what a polling they did, and you don't even see the numbers of people asked or whatever, how they got their information. Okay, I would trust this better, because everybody has to do this poll the same way, by clicking on the answer here. All right, so you actually get answers. Okay, and this is a local news story here that was just posted a couple hours ago. This is from WMTW Portland, Maine, and the title is "Maine Judge Accused of Repeated Sexual Harassment." This was written by Adam Bartow. According to court documents and confirmed by their lawyer to Maine's Total Coverage, The women are Samantha Pike, Program Director of Outpatient Substance Use Disorder Services at Wellspring, and Natasha Irving, the District Attorney for District 6, which includes Waldo, Knox, Lincoln, and Sagadahoc counties. According to the complaint, Irving says she was sexually propositioned by Judge Charles F. Budd within 3 minutes of meeting him for the first time at a conference in Tennessee, including inviting her to sleep with him in his hotel room. Until recently, Budd oversaw what is known as the treatment court in Maine. The complaint claims he discriminated against Pike based on her sex, including making sexual advances, retaliating against her for rejecting those advances, humiliating her in front of coworkers, and creating a hostile work environment. In her role with Wellspring, Pike spent 16 to 25 hours per month appearing in court before Budd over the last 2 years. Pike also claims that at the same conference in Tennessee, Budd made comments about her appearance and tried to get into her hotel room, making her feel uncomfortable and unsafe. According to the complaint, in an ensuing conversation, Budd made comments about how attractive he thought two mutual clients were. Pike claims that Budd continued to make comments the next day of a harassing nature. She also claims that weeks later, he made comments to her in his chambers indicating that he would be pursuing her sexually. The complaint alleges that Budd has a, quote, reputation for flirting with clerks in various courthouses where he has presided, unquote, and is, quote, known to show favoritism toward young, attractive female drug treatment court clients. Judge Budd treats such clients more favorably than male clients or clients that he does not deem sexually attractive, unquote. Budd is being sued as an individual. The Maine Judicial Branch was not named in the lawsuit and had not commented on Maine's total coverage Monday afternoon. Budd's status with the Judicial Branch was not clear. An attorney for Pike at Irving had no further comment beyond the contents of the official complaint. Some named Judge Budd, you know, what could go wrong, right? It's like talk about a red flag. Anyway, you know, this, you know, it's another one of those stories of, you know, power going to people's head, okay? And they have this, you know, idea in their mind that women like men of power. And so if they, you know, come out and say something nasty to them, you know, the way Trump does with women, they're going to be appreciated for it. You know, for some reason or other, these people think that women like that. I don't know why, okay? But that's what they do, you know? They figure, oh, well, I'm a judge, you know, and they think they walk around with nice suits on and everything, and, you know, and they figure, well, I can say what I want to this woman because she's going to want me anyway because she knows I got status, I got power, you know. And it seems like the mindset of most people who do this kind of thing with harassment and stuff like that, so with women and things. Okay, so obviously that means there's got to be something, a screw loose in their head. Okay, either they got that screw loosened when they got power, or it was always there waiting to get power, so the damage could be more noticeable. And I think some people, I mean, I'm not saying all judges are this way, okay? You know, some judges can be abuse their power in other ways other than assaulting women. Some of them are just mean-spirited to everybody, you know, depending on who they are. But this is ridiculous. I mean, you know, you got a guy, you know, they don't got a picture of this fella here, but you know, they just I guess they think like, you know, hey, you know, anything can come my way because I'm a judge, you know, or I'm a senator, or I'm a this, I'm a that, you know, and like I said, it has to come from a mental problem, that they feel they need to have status in order to be somebody, all right? And, you know, there's people in this world that are that way even when they don't have status. They have this need to be something just by going around bragging about things, okay? Like they lie, boy, I did this, I did that. Okay, there's people out there that pretend to be veterans who say I was in this war and all that, and come to find out it was all a friggin' lie. Okay, there's people who have that need to have status to be something other than what they are because they don't feel like they're important enough and they can't get the kind of attention they want. Okay, so a person like that, if he's made a judge, is going to be a friggin' bastard to work for, or and anybody around him is going to be in trouble. So again, testing these people beforehand to see whether or not these people can actually hold an office and not let it go to their brain is important. I mean, even the military screens people that way. Okay, the officer corps. I mean, they do this. That's what I mean. A lot of it's studying and stuff like that. But they also do this to test how responsibility plays on their ability to function. And sometimes these people don't make it, not because they're not smart, okay, but because they can't handle authority. They get a little bit of it, and it goes right to their head, and they're dangerous. So they don't let these people pass into the system. Okay, it's not perfect, but that's one of the reasons why people that are wanting to be officers are trained in a different place other than what the rest of the people, like NCOs and stuff like that. So their ability to be able to command and handle responsibility is critical, because when everybody follows you, you've got to be of a sound mind to be able to make sure you're doing the right thing for everybody under you, for their sake. And so it's very important that these people are tested. So why not in political systems or in situations where you're looking for a judge or something like that? I mean, we tested them on the Supreme Court, and of course, recently the ones that have been appointed in the Supreme Court lied on many of the questions that they were asked. Okay, which means they committed perjury. They shouldn't even be on the Supreme Court as it is. But who's going to make them account for it, right? So these people lied, but they were being asked questions to determine whether or not these people can actually do their job without letting their personal opinions override their judgment, to supersede the Constitution. And apparently we got 3 or 4 of them there who are very well, they have the good conscience of mind to be able to disregard the Constitution and are happily willing to use their own opinion about things to make rulings on. Okay, and they're willing to do anything it takes to get to that seat in court, so they can abuse that power. All right, so like I said, it's not a perfect system, but we have it for a reason. That we should check these people out, and and I think this guy here slipped through the cracks. If they actually bothered to check this guy out, I don't know if they did or not, but he got through the system. I mean, it may have been something that at first he was fine, and then all of a sudden it just, maybe he changed over the years or something. I don't know. I don't know how long he was a judge here, but all I can say is that, you have to be careful, because judges, they can wreak a lot of havoc there on things, and people depend so much on what they say, their verdicts and stuff like that, that we trust that they're being fair. Okay, and I hate to think how often they're not fair, in this country. Jesus, when you sit and think about it, when somebody's committed a crime that they didn't commit, or what I'm saying, they're accused of a crime they didn't commit. They're hoping the judge will see that they didn't do it, but maybe the judge doesn't care, and he just wants to make a precedent. He wants to set an example so the rest, everybody will fear him and use that person as an example. I mean, that's been known to happen, or he's trying to cover up something for the police that didn't do their job right, and that's been known to happen. So, we depend so much on these judges to do the right thing. And here you got a judge here that's already a problem. And thankfully, women are stepping forward and not waiting. And they're saying, look, this son of a bitch is after me here. Do something. Okay? And, hopefully, they get their, justice will prevail here and cure this problem here. Oh yeah, there was one other thing here. Hold on a second. Yeah, I saw this story here, and they have an update on it that was just published here. And it's from People, entitled Ann Heche's ex, Thomas Jane, files claim against her estate over $150,000 loan. Stephanie Wenger wrote this, and it says here, Ann Heche's ex, Thomas Jane, has filed a claim against the late actress's estate seeking repayment of a loan of more than $150,000. In the new court filing obtained by People, lawyers for Jane, who was first romantically linked to Heche in 2019, alleged that he loaned the actress $157,000 and is still owed $149,000. He is also seeking a $18.77 per day in growing interest on top of that, I guess. Jane claimed that Heche, who died after being involved in a car accident in Los Angeles on August the 5th, previously agreed to repay the loan in $10,000 monthly installments beginning in August of 2021. However, he alleged that she did not make any further payments after the first two installments, the claim states. Jane, who 53, claimed he is now owed $137,000 in principal, $9,814 in interest as of November the 8th, and $2,291 in late charges, according to the court filing. A part of their agreement, Jane alleged that Heche was supposed to keep him notified of upcoming professional work, and he would receive payment of 30% of her income when she received payment of more than $15,000. Lawyers for Heche and Jane did not return People's request for comment. So part of here, it's weird that she wanted to take out a loan for so much money. Makes you wonder. You think maybe this might have had something to do a little bit with what she, was driving around crazy or whatever and got into an accident and killed herself with. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she needed $150,000. I mean, that's a lot of money even for rich people to just pass around. And she was going to make two big payments, $10,000 monthly. So she needed cash fast for something. Okay. And so much so that she couldn't pay it back all at once, but she needed to have that money right then. I guess going to a bank wouldn't happen. I don't know, but she needed that money for what? What the hell was it for that she needed that money? So all that upfront for something. And Thomas Jane obviously is kind of pissed because he's out the remaining of $149,000 here that he wants back, and he wants it from what she owned, her estate, whenever that's sold off, I guess. I don't know. I mean, what happened with Ann Heche is really weird. I mean, I know she's got a history with drugs and stuff like that, but she was doing so well, I think, and maybe we thought she was, because she wasn't really in the tabloids that much, months before this happened, where she crashed her car. So I'm not sure what was going on, and maybe she wasn't getting roles in movies, as much as she wanted. I don't know. People haven't really been talking much about that, what was going on with her personal life, that might have, created this problem that she, took out. So I'm just, I'm kind of curious about that, as to, what the hell went on, I mean, she, she just ended her life in such a drastic and deadly way. You don't hear that too much from Hollywood, but the way she died, I mean, it was like, Christ, talk about sending up a SOS in the worst possible way. So then you see this thing here where guy loans her, all this money, and a lot of it. So and it wasn't like it doesn't feel like he loaned it to her and said forget about it. He loaned it to her, I guess, on the condition that not only would she pay it back, but she'd pay it back with interest on top of that. And obviously they worked out some kind of an agreement here where she said, well, I'll pay you back in $10,000, monthly installments. So this was a lot of money to him. And he really, I guess he put himself out on the line here to give her this money, thinking, okay, I'll get it back. He trusted her that she would pay it back to him. That's not just chump change, So, he was really trying to be kind, but he didn't want to get screwed out of this thing either, I can understand that too. But I think he trusted her that he'd get it back. But it's just curious as to why she needed all that money up front so fast. Why, what the hell was it that she needed to buy, to spend on? Was it, something materialistic or drugs or some damn thing? I don't know. I really don't know. So maybe something else will come out about that later. There's also a $2 million claim against Anne Heche's estate by the woman whose house was destroyed in the crash. So there's $2 million there. That's got, So they're going to pick her estate apart until there's nothing left. That's just how it goes. It's a hell of a way for a career to end, just to let something like to have that happen. So I mean, she's been in a lot of movies that that I've seen over the years and stuff like that, and even this guy here, Thomas Jane, I've seen him in some movies. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see if anybody's going to be willing to say what they know about her, what she was going through. So, all right, I guess that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So please subscribe and comment. Keep your ears open to any local COVID-19 news and monkeypox. I haven't heard much about that lately, but stay aware of it. And please treat each other nice. We're coming into the holiday season, so let's set an example here, especially for your kids, that in this time of the year we're supposed to be extra nice to people because that's the tradition. So let's take care of each other and be tolerant. Talk to you later.